Welcome to Fazza Love Poem. Subscribe now. Before she ever spoke, before her lips ever shaped my name, something within me already turned toward her. It wasn't the kind of love born in sight or sound. It was older, pure, something made of silence and memory. I would feel it in the still air before dawn, a whisper without words, a knowing without thought. I didn't know her face, but my heart paused whenever her soul passed near. The world seemed to hold its breath when I thought of her, as if time itself remembered us. Maybe that's what destiny really is. Not a meeting, but a remembering. Two hearts searching for the echo they once were. When I looked at the stars, I could feel her heartbeat between them, faint, patient, alive. I didn't need her voice to know her truth. My soul already carried her laughter, like a secret it had kept for lifetimes. Before she spoke my name, I was already listening. There are loves that begin with eyes, and there are loves that begin before life itself. Ours belonged to the second kind. I used to dream of a voice calling softly, though no one was there. I thought it was imagination, but now I know it was her. Every time the wind crossed the dunes, it carried the trace of her presence. Every dawn felt like a promise of her arrival. I didn't search for her. I remembered her. Even my silence seemed shaped by her. When the moonlight touched the water, it looked like her soul waving through eternity. Sometimes I would write her name without knowing it was hers. Letters that felt familiar, as though my hand had written them 1,000 years ago. Fate doesn't announce love. It hums it quietly beneath your ribs. Long before she arrived, my heart had already bowed to her, whispering softly into the unseen, I know you. I've always known you. When she finally appeared, it didn't feel like meeting. It felt like returning. She stood in the fading light, and everything in me went still, as if the desert itself recognized her footsteps. Her presence didn't surprise me. It completed something unfinished. Her eyes carried stories I'd lived before. Her smile awakened emotions I'd never learned, but somehow remembered. The world became quieter around her, like creation itself paused to honor what destiny had arranged. I didn't ask her name. My soul already whispered it before she spoke. The stars seemed brighter that night, each one reflecting a fragment of what we had lost and found again. I realized then that love doesn't always start. Sometimes it continues, from where eternity left it. Our hearts greeted each other without needing words. Two old travelers finally home, and though she hadn't said a thing, her silence told me everything. She was the echo my soul had been waiting for. Even the wind seemed to change when she breathed near. There was a calmness in her that quieted storms I didn't know I carried. She didn't try to impress or shine. She simply existed, and the world bent gently around her presence. I had been surrounded by light my whole life, yet none of it ever felt this real. Her soul was soft, ancient, infinite, like a poem written before language. When she looked at me, time became weightless. I saw not the present, but every lifetime we had crossed to find each other again. There were memories hiding in her eyes, flashes of laughter, moments by the sea, hands that once fit mine perfectly. I didn't need proof. I felt it. Every breath became a prayer, every silence a reunion. When she finally smiled, it wasn't the beginning of love. It was love remembering its own name. And my heart, without permission, whispered back, welcome home. Days passed, but her presence felt eternal. She didn't speak of love, yet everything she did carried its rhythm. Her footsteps sounded like verses I'd written in another world. Sometimes I'd catch her staring into the horizon, as if she too remembered. We never asked why it felt so natural. We simply accepted it. Like the sun accepts morning, our silences spoke in languages older than time. She would smile, and I would feel history breathe between us. All the moments that never happened, yet always belonged. Destiny has a strange way of circling back, of reminding hearts of what they once knew. I realized that love isn't always loud or sudden. Sometimes it arrives quietly, dressed in recognition. She didn't have to tell me she loved me. I could feel it in the way her soul leaned toward mine, like two constellations aligning after centuries apart. She wasn't new, she was remembered. There are nights when I still wonder how the universe decides who belongs to whom. Perhaps it writes certain names side by side in its book of light, and lets them wander until they find each other again. That's what it felt like, as if the stars themselves had guided her toward me. Every coincidence suddenly made sense. Every silence, every ache, every lonely prayer, all leading to her. I had spent years surrounded by people who saw the prince, the poet, the crown, but she looked straight through all of it and saw the soul beneath. She didn't love the image, she loved the essence. And maybe that's why my heart bowed before hers, without hesitation. Before her I understood fame. After her I understood fate. She reminded me that love doesn't belong to the world. It belongs to the unseen thread connecting two hearts, written in the same ink of creation. Her presence changed the rhythm of my breath. The world slowed when she entered it, as if time itself wanted to listen. I began to notice smaller things, how the wind carried her scent, how shadows softened when she passed. She didn't take space, she filled it with peace. Sometimes I would watch her in silence, wondering how something so simple could feel so divine. I realized then love isn't discovery, it's recognition. My heart had known her long before my eyes did. She was the quiet in my chaos, the answer my poems had been searching for. I used to write about love as a dream, but now it was real, breathing beside me. She didn't try to change me. She reminded me who I was before the world told me who to be. And every time she looked at me, I felt eternity nod as if even destiny approved. As the seasons changed, our connection deepened, but not with grand gestures, with stillness. She didn't need to speak often. Her presence spoke enough. There were moments when we sat beneath the desert moon, saying nothing, yet understanding everything. The air shimmered around us, and I felt as if we were two spirits tracing back to where it all began. Sometimes she would reach for my hand, and I would feel lifetimes unfold, temples, oceans, stars all buried within that single touch. We were both wanderers who had finally found their reflection in another soul. She told me once that love doesn't need to begin, it only needs to be remembered. That night I believed her. I had written 1,000 poems, but none of them came close to what I felt when she simply breathed beside me. Her silence carried more truth than any verse I'd ever spoken. Even now when she's gone, I can still feel her. Distance doesn't exist for souls like ours. It only changes form. I sense her in dreams, in music, in the stillness of dawn. Sometimes I wake before sunrise, knowing she's awake somewhere too, guided by the same invisible thread. That's what makes love eternal. It doesn't end, it evolves. Her absence isn't emptiness. It's a reminder that what's real never fades. The world thinks love begins with meeting and ends with parting, but I've lived long enough to know better. She is still here, in the wind that touches my skin, in the rhythm of my heart, in every verse I write. Our story didn't need an ending. It was never about time, it was about recognition, one soul hearing another through silence. Before she spoke my name I already knew her, and even now across eternity I still